It is now 5 o'clock. We will begin the workshop for the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for October 31st, 2013. For the next month, for next Tuesday, I will have the prayer. Vice Mayor, you will have the Pledge of Allegiance. Please review over your minutes for the public hearing and regular meeting for October 1st. We will have our departmental reports. We do have some certificates of appreciation for our youth baseball and softball league. We'll have our employee of the month, and we will be having the swearing in of our new officer, K-9 Officer Mike. So Mike will be here with us on Tuesday night, and we'll be honored to swear him in as our new K-9 officer. Moving right along, we have old business, which is second reading, Ordinance 2013-18, an ordinance to amend Title II, Chapter 6 of the Laverne Municipal Code by adding members to the Local Emergency Planning Committee. This is the second reading, and that is we will be adding someone for the IT department and a member from the stormwater. Do I have any questions, concerns on those? Okay. Second reading, Ordinance 2013-19, an ordinance to amend the 2013-2014 General Fund budget for replacement generators. We will have a public hearing on this matter Tuesday night at 6:30. Do I have any comments or concerns on the generators? Any comments? Next, we're going to go to our consent agenda items. Ms. Felicia, first on the agenda.
First, we're going to remove the ball fields.
Okay, we're going to do the ball fields. Remove those. Okay.
You look nice, Mayor.
I do have a disclaimer. I do have an Alabama shirt on due to the fact that I made a bet with our Parks and Rec Director, Mr. A.C. Davis, who brought me this shirt early this morning, and I have had it on since 10 o'clock because I did lose the bet. But I do have orange on, just to say. So. We've had a lot of fun out of this, so y'all laugh. Wait till next year. You started it, Felicia.
I know, I had to say something. It looks nice. You do look good in that color, though. Oh, I'm sorry. The fire department uniforms and personal protective equipment. We bid this out several times, trying to get everything from one vendor because it's very hard to go here for one thing and here for another. So we have come back with Safe Industries here in Laverne, which would make it easier for them to get everything. So we'd just like that to be noted that we will go with Safe Industries in Laverne for that. Any questions on the uniforms?
Industries, okay.
Okay. The next is the generators for the City Hall and Police Department. It's currently one generator now. We're going to have two separate generators. There is a 16-week lead time on this, so it'll be at least 16 weeks before they will be installed, but I'd like to go ahead and get moving with that so that we have us get in line with them to get that done.
All righty.
Any questions on that? Okay, on the automatic fingerprint identification system for the police department. I had conversations with the chief, but I had conversations with Brian in IT over there. And after what Brian showed me and explained, I explained to him that I felt like it could be a sole source, and they came back with the letter. We filled it all out, and it truly does look like it would be a sole source because of the components and the different things that we're going to need, you're not going to get another company to truly be able to bid apples to what they're needing over there. So we just put that on the consent agenda because I don't see that there's going to be any questions on that. Our current system is dead in the water.
It has been.
Yeah, so we really need
For a
this,
while.
need to get this going.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, we'll keep moving.
Okay.
All right, next is B, approved proposal from Standifer and Associates, Inc. to conduct appraisals relating to the Walden Road condemnation lawsuits.
Mayor, I'll take that item.
Okay.
As you know, we had an offer here in the last meeting to settle part of one of those condemnations that we still have pending. We have 3 condemnation lawsuits that are still pending. At this point in time, with the project being completed, it's time, at least in my view, that we move those projects forward and get a resolution one way or the other, whether that means we're able to reach an agreement and settle a case, or whether that means we have to have a jury trial and let a jury decide what's a fair amount to pay the landowner. I say all that just to say that what you have in front of you is retaining an appraiser who would be a trial expert for the city and would testify on behalf of the city with regard to the value of these properties. And that's basically his role and his function. So I bring his engagement letter to your attention and recommend approval if you desire to do so. And I'm happy to answer your questions.
Let's review for everybody which 3 properties. I know one of them is McDonald's.
Right. One of them is McDonald's. One of them is Ryder Truck. And then the third location,
Walgreens.
That's where
You
Walden
get
is
Walgreens.
located.
Walgreens, that's right. It's actually owned by the Teachers Retirement System of Kentucky,
Okay.
but it's the Walgreens location. So it's the Walgreens
Okay.
location, it's Ryder Truck, and it's McDonald's.
Okay.
And that's it.
Well, on the McDonald's, it's not actually McDonald's, it's Yarborough, right?
Well, it's actually interesting, Alderman Walden. It's owned by the Yarborough family, but they have a lease with McDonald's that expires in 2015, and so both McDonald's and the Yarborough family are both parties in that suit, and they're both asking for money.
This was explained to us way back even before I was mayor, when we entered into this process of widening Walden Road, that this was going to come about.
That's right, and we're really, if you think about it, the city acquired 54 parcels of property to widen Walden Road, and at this stage, to only have 3 condemnation proceedings, only have 3 contested parcels is pretty amazing. I mean, it shows the city's worked really, really well with the citizens and with the landowners, because normally in projects like this, you have a lot more contested takings than what the city has. To have only 3 is really remarkable.
Excellent. Anyone else have any questions about it? Any questions? Okey-doke. C, proposal from CDM Smith to conduct the sewer rate study for Metro Water and Sewage Services and the City of Laverne, City of Brentwood, City of Millersville, City of Goodlettsville, and the City of Belmead.
Mayor, as you're aware, we are getting ready to do renegotiations on the rate for Metro Sewer. This is the study that we knew was coming. The total cost of the study is $70,000, and in partnership with these other 4 cities and Metro, our cost is going to be 1/12 of that, which would be $5,800. And since it's over the $5,000 limit, we're bringing it before the board for approval. This is basically to develop the rate beginning in year 6, and they're going to be also looking at some other issues such as aligning all of the ending dates for those contracts among the 5 cities, and they're also going to be looking at making sure the rate increases every year go in at the same date as well, because there's some inconsistencies there between those 5 cities. So This is just the study with Metro. Metro is actually going to be coordinating the entire thing, but our portion is $5,800, and that's what we need approval from this board for.
Any questions? D, approve use agreement between the City of Laverne and Youth Incorporated for the Inline Hockey League. AC, I believe this one's
Well,
yours.
that's basically the standard agreement that we're doing across the board for baseball, softball, and, I mean, we're actually running our own league for that though, but with football, you know, we want to keep it consistent across the board for everybody. So, you know, it's not a whole lot changed in it other than, you know, we'll require that, you know, since that we're providing them a building to run concessions out of, that we'll take 50% of concessions. I've met with Gary Curtis and spoke with him at length about this, and he doesn't have any problem with it. Everything is, you know, he's okay with it.
Excellent. Any questions? Okay. And for, it's complete in here, so please review over. And this is all their, everything, if you'll look in your thing, everything, they're tax exempt, all the proper paperwork and everything has been turned in, so that's part of your package. Next, we're going into new business. Motion to appoint or remove board members. A, Construction Board of Adjustment and Appeals. We have one term vacant. And we still, I don't think we have any applicants for that. And again, this board only meets on an as-needed basis. So it's not like it's a board that you have to attend monthly meetings. So it might be a good board from someone that's wanting to get involved but don't want to have monthly meetings. They might want to look at this board and...
Yeah, they meet not very many times.
Exactly. So this may be a good board for somebody to get on and kind of get their feet wet. Next is the Historical Preservation Advisory Committee. We still have no one on this one, and I've had questions asked in as to why this board is not meeting.
Well, one day we just hadn't had nothing to meet about. The cabin was one of the big things we met about, and it needs repairs, and it's going to cost money, and it's just no money in the budget to do it. Hopefully, you know, this budget time, maybe we can earmark some money for it.
Okay.
That's when Robin and them was there. You know, they spearheaded a lot on it, and just wasn't never no money in the budget to do anything with it. But hopefully, in the next year, we can start moving forward with it.
Why wasn't it brought up during the budget? Did they need money?
Well, just money was tight. You know, money was tight. But, you know, maybe this year, you know,
I'm
this
sure we
next
could've
year,
found
maybe the money
some way
can
to
be
do something
appropriated.
if it had ever been brought up.
Yeah.
Well, it originally was $15,000 appropriated for it, and it got moved to another project, and you know, it needs some work. It definitely needs work.
Well, I mean, it's the first time since I've been up here that I've heard anything about they needed money.
So, okay. Because I don't think I've met in, what, 2 years?
It's been a while. It's been a while.
Alrighty. Planning Commission, 2 terms expire today. I have not gotten back with Calvin, but I know he's our chairman, so I'm pretty sure he'll want to stay. And I did speak with Earl Garvin Jr., and he does wish to stay on the board. So, and like I said, I'm pretty sure Calvin will, because he's the chairman of it and does a good job. So. Next is the Laverne Housing Authority. 1 term expires, and that is Mr. A.C. Puckett. And he would like to remain on that board. That's excellent.
If we can ever find us something.
Yeah, that was one thing he mentioned, is the fact, you know, they've met very rarely, and of course, they need money and property and something to work on too.
Everything,
So
so.
another area that we really need to try and find something for.
And, you know, I talked to you about the one thing, so we might want to get you involved in that one on there. Kristen can give you kind of an update on that piece of property that was brought to our attention, and Mike can get that board involved and help us maybe work forward on that
That's
gated
something we
senior
need.
community that we would kind of approach the developer over looking
We need that
into.
very, very bad.
So maybe we can get you and get the committee and get them together and maybe work and express your wishes in that area. Work on that. That would be great. All right, next, first reading, ordinance 2013-20, an ordinance of the City of Laverne to amend Title 4, Chapter 3 of the Laverne Municipal Code to establish an updated occupational safety and health program plan, devise rules and regulations, and to provide for a safety director and the implementation of such program plan. This is for OSHA, am I correct?
Right, this is something that we are to update on a regular basis. It's been a while since we've updated it. I believe it's 2002. So the state wants, there's several cities in the state that are in violation of, as far as not having an updated plan. So we're trying to get ours updated and in proper order. This is just basically amending the section in the municipal code. It's already in there. It's just adding new things that need to be in there. And there is a plan that is attached to the ordinance, if you want to read through that, that talks about the occupational safety and health program. So it's really just updating the codes that we already have on the books.
Excellent. There's several, so please read through it. All right. It's long. Okay. Number 9, first reading, ordinance 2013-21, an ordinance to amend the 2013-2014 fiscal year general fund budget for fire protection and control.
Mayor, with the discussion that we'll have for item number 14, this kind of goes back to this item. This is in order to amend our budget to allow the first half payment for the fire department, the $2 million. And then this also adds the $62,000 there is wages and benefits for the new fire chief position for the remainder of the fiscal year. And that's really all this one does, is just amends the budget so that we can do these two items in advance. So we'll talk more about the fire department.
Okay, yeah, we'll get into depth on where all that's. If y'all have any questions, please don't hesitate, but we're going to have a full discussion on the last one, and this all rolls into that. All right, number 10, a resolution to write off uncollected property tax account.
We have to do this on a very irregular basis. I think we've only done one other in several years. What happened on this one, the city submitted back taxes to the county, to Chancery Court, and Chancery Court actually sold this property at auction. When they made their payment to the city, they did not pay us for one of the years. I believe it was 1998. And since it's over 10 years old, they've already written it off of their books. There's no way that we can possibly collect this it's almost $71. So we have to really just write this off of our books because it's not, we can't collect on it. And that's really all it is. The county messed up when they sold it and didn't get enough to us to pay for that year's taxes.
Any questions? Okay. Number 11, motion to approve agreement with Fox Collection Center for the city court fines and fees.
If you'll remember, several months ago, it may even be over a year ago, I can't remember exactly, we had amended our municipal code to allow for a collection agency to collect our city court fines and fees. This is basically the agreement with Fox Collection that would allow them to do this. Their rates are in here. and so you can read through that. There's actually 2 different levels. They'll collect 28% of the collections that we do have on regular accounts, and then anything that requires legal action, they get 40%. But as far as the smaller balance items like parking tickets, seat belt, I don't think it's seat belt, the smaller ones that are under $50 balance, they basically will send a letter to all of those folks, and then any of the money that is received, we'll get that directly, but they'll charge us $1.97 per letter that they have to send out. So hopefully we can collect on some of these back fines and fees that are owed.
Excellent. Any questions? Y'all are quiet. Motion to approve or reject a request from the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission to settle a claim. And this will be at the regular meeting only.
Mayor, that's right. There's an EEOC claim pending, and we're being represented by Fair and Bates, who was assigned by the Tennessee Municipal League. They will be here at 6 o'clock on Tuesday for an executive session where this board will be briefed in detail about the status of the case. And at that point, since they're the lawyers that are handling the case in the city, they'll make a recommendation to y'all in terms of how they think you should proceed. So this item's on the agenda tonight for the workshop, but there's really nothing to discuss tonight at the workshop.
Okay, we'll be briefed on it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Excellent. Number 13, discussion senior citizens program.
Well, we met, the advisory committee met, and we talked about it, and there was a motion thrown out there, and they are looking to maybe separate and get out from under the parks umbrella. Thinking maybe that there's possibly some additional funding available if they're not under our umbrella. I don't know a whole lot about that, but it's pretty much standalone as it is, because we have our thing going on, they have their thing going on, and it's kind of hard to run back and forth and keep track of everything. They're running fine, and the advisory committee wanted to throw that before the board and see if that's something that they could do if it would benefit.
I have a question, because I know Ms. Cook had talked to me several years ago about this. Why did the seniors, why were they originally put under the Parks and Recreation?
I don't remember
Just having a place
exactly.
to put them? I thought.
I don't
I think
know
that was a
either.
lot of it, but, because they were located in this building up here beside the annex now, that used to be the library. And of course, when they got moved over to the other location, I think that's around the time that all of this took place. But I don't remember the exact reasons as to why.
I don't either.
But they have been a part of the city for roughly 18 to 20 years now. So it's, it's been a city program. It was put under Parks and Recreation. I think the probably the most logical place to put it, since Parks and Rec is more of a leisure type activity that would be more associated with the seniors.
But why could they not be their own department, like library, Parks and Rec? Why could they not be their own?
We've not had a lot of discussion about that, and I've not talked to Evan about this. To me, I don't know why it was set up the way it was, but it's my understanding they feel that they'd be eligible for more grants if they are out from under the Parks and Recreation Department. I don't know how true that is myself, and it's just my personal opinion. They still be under the umbrella of the city.
Exactly.
If they were a separate entity, separated from the city, and if they registered as a 501c3 nonprofit organization, then I think they would probably be more eligible for other grants. But either way, if they're under the Parks and Rec Department or if they're a standalone department in our organization, they still fall under the umbrella of the city's authority and control. And I don't know that would really change anything as far as grants are concerned.
Well, the reason, of course, the seniors have been there for quite some time, and they feel like, that they need to be on their own. And not only that, AC has enough to do without running down there to take care of us old people. And we have, I think, a good staff down there as far as I know, and we could, they think they can just run it on their own. And I really and truly feel that they feel like at some time, maybe their money is not being spent wisely or something. But I think all of that has been explained very clearly to them. But I think they just would feel better just standing on their own.
Well, they kind of already are their own department. It just happens to be a subset of the Parks and Recreation Department.
And he would be more than happy to give us up.
Well, I'd still be down there doing all the stuff that I normally do. I just
You'd have to do
you know,
all the cooking
yeah,
and everything,
yeah.
wouldn't you?
I think, since they have asked, and we look at the legal ramifications, look at what other cities do. I don't, for some reason, I'm not thinking St. Clair's falls under their Parks and Rec department. And let's look at, do some calling, do some legal work. We need to let Phyllis look at how that would work as far as, you know, the budgets or whatever, and
The funding would, I don't think the funding would change, correct? The GNRC and all that stuff would still be the same.
Right.
Everything would,
It
you
would
know,
be-
it wouldn't affect that in any way. All
yeah,
that-
it would
you'd still have
strictly
that
be,
money.
it would fall strictly under, well, instead of having Parks and Recreation, because they already have their own staff,
Right.
they already have their own budget, technically, so it would be pulling that out of Parks and Recs and just putting it in their budget.
And we'd still be giving them their money like we do every year.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
So let's look at all the legal aspects, look at everything and make sure that we're doing everything.
The other thing I'm gonna add to that is currently there's a line item in the expense under seniors that where we're allocating a portion of personnel that are actually working in the for the seniors, and that's coming out of Parks and Rec's budget. If we move all of that expense to the seniors, there's not enough revenue to cover it, because we're only allocating like $80,000. There's more than $80,000 a year of senior expense, senior personnel expense. When you take into consideration wages and benefits and taxes and retirement.
So see, there's,
You know, either we're gonna have to allocate a larger amount.
so see, there's a lot of questions that need to
That need to be
be looked into.
a
and-
lot.
And maybe next budget year, look and see if that's gonna be more feasible. But there's a lot of research and a lot of work that we're gonna have to do on this one. And, at least they know we're hearing, we're listening to them, and we're doing our homework to see what's gonna be in their best interest as well as financially to them. So I think everybody's got their homework assignments, and we might find that this is something that's just absolutely not doable until next budget year. But we'll look into it. Okay. Do we have any more questions, concerns?
I don't know.
Anything else y'all want to?
Anything else, AC, you can think of?
No, not really. I mean, other than just looking into it, all of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent.
Try to-
All right, number 14, discussion, purchase of Laverne Fire Department. As you all know, we voted back in July, September,
May.
was it May? That we were going to pursue and move forward with the purchase of the fire department. Since that time, we have come up with some numbers, and I'm going to let Bruce go over everything, our timelines, what we're doing, and all of that. So I'll let Bruce, and I guess probably Evan will pitch in on some of this. And
Okay, what we did first, obviously, is we got appraisals on the real property, the fire stations, and then the vacant piece of property on Old Nashville Highway. We got appraisals on the apparatus and equipment, and then altogether that totaled $2,678,000. If you go to the next page, you have a monthly cost there that we've estimated. What we were asked to do was look at purchasing the department to begin on January the 1st. So in order to basically buy out the remainder of the contract from January through November, we came up with an estimated cost, and then we built that into the following page as far as the schedule of payments, less the employee expenses for the remainder of the contract between January and November. That total was $1,267,000. So on the last page there, you add those two numbers together, it's $3,945,000. We met with the fire department and made that offer to them. They came back and requested an even $4 million. So ultimately, that is a decision of the board. What we're looking at doing is making 2 annual payments of $2 million each. And I believe those payments will probably be like January 1st of 2014 and like January the 1st of 2015. So it'll be separate tax years for Mr. Gafford. You know, we did meet. Evan is needing to write up the purchase agreement with all of the details, all of the legalities that we've got to have in there. We're also trying to go over and make sure we're doing everything as legally as possible, and of course we want everything done the right way. So we still have some things that we're looking into and trying to get straightened out and ironed out. But this is basically the road that we're looking at taking. But Evan just needed some, input from the board that, before he takes all of this time to write this agreement, to make sure that you guys are okay with where we are right now.
And the way that this would unfold is once, if the board is generally in favor of moving in this direction under that timeline, then I will draft the document that we will then bring back again. So you're actually going to end up voting on this twice. You're going to vote basically Tuesday night to say we're in favor of going in this direction. So that's sort of the green light to me to say go forward and do it. And then once I have the finished product, which would be a document that's a purchase agreement, I'll bring that back to the board. You'll get to review that again and then vote on that one way or the other. At that point, it goes, and I will say, like Bruce mentioned, we met with the fire department. The fire department is interested in selling, so the city takes over January 1st, 2014. So if the board approves the agreement, once it's presented to you, then we will take that agreement and meet with the Laverne Fire Department and present it to them. And obviously, like Bruce mentioned, we are working with the state to make sure all those third-party state approvals are given, with the comptroller's office, working with our auditors just to make sure. This is really a unique thing for municipalities. I think there are only, and y'all correct me, Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, there may be only 2 private fire departments in the state. And so there's really not state law that's designed right now that would foresee this type of transaction because it's really rare. So we're really kind of having to piece this together as best we can on it, but I can assure you we'll do our very best.
And we are looking to take it over January 1. So we're very excited about that, and in the long run, it's gonna be a good thing for
And
the
we're
city
hopeful,
and for the firefighters.
right, and we're hopeful to have this agreement completed in time for the end of November. It may be the week before Thanksgiving or the week of Thanksgiving, but that's when we're kind of shooting for that special meeting. We could possibly have the second reading of the budget amendment that would authorize the payment into our budget, and then also, get the agreement approved on our side. And of course, the budget amendment also provides for the fire chief position. We need to get started on that as soon as possible as far as hiring that person, and that way we could have the fire chief on board. Give him a little time to try and get things set up before January the 1st when we actually take over the department. So that's kind of where we are.
Excellent. Do I have any questions? Now's the time to ask Evan, and we've already checked with Phyllis. Our money, the way we're doing this is good.
I do have a question. Are we going to keep the same guys, the same?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Absolutely.
contract provided that we take all of the existing employees from the fire department and bring them over here. As far as what happens once they get here, we're still working on those details and will be for a while. Obviously, we have a little time, but we're running out of time. We've got to get the structure ready. We've got to figure out policies and procedures and things like that. So we still have a lot of work ahead of us.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You do.
But absolutely, I mean, they're trained. They're
Yeah.
ready.
Oh, absolutely.
They know
I
the
was
city,
just concerned,
so.
maybe
Oh yeah, no.
about figured we
I
probably
mean,
would.
actually, it'll be their choice.
Oh, they'll love us.
Oh, yes. So do we have any other comments? So let's be understood now, on Tuesday, we will be voting for Evan to move forward with this. After that, he does his attorney thing and gets with theirs, and then once they have all that ironed out, everybody's satisfaction, we will be coming back for a special called meeting at the end of November for that final vote.
That's our
Everything
goal.
will be ironed out. So is everybody clear on that? Everybody understand what we're doing? And like I said, reminder, we're going for January 2014, which is 2 months. 1st of January. So, be 2 months tomorrow. All right. So if I have no other questions, I'm down to, am I skipping anything? Down to Mayor and Alderman comments. Alderman Green, we'll start with you.
I really don't have anything. I know the seniors did a yard sale Saturday. It was cold. Oh, we almost froze, but everybody was out there happy and busy selling. And then, of course, the Trail of Treats went good.
Lots of fun.
Yeah, it's always lots of fun. So I hope there's not anybody out trick-or-treating tonight if the weather's going to be as bad as they said. But I hope everybody stays safe.
Excellent. Vice Mayor.
Nothing.
Oh, quiet tonight. Alderman Walden.
Just don't forget about setting your clocks back Saturday, fall back.
Wow, already.
So you get Tuesday.
Alderman Roper.
I don't have anything, Mom.
I would like to brag on the team. We went to Atlanta Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Had an awesome time there. Had a lot of good prospects. We're very excited, and I am happy to report Laverne is definitely on the map. In the last, I guess since I've been elected mayor, everybody up here, Sherry, you've been, Tom, Kathy, and Chris watched the fork while we were all gone. And we all felt like we were having to go and beg and plead, please look at us, please listen to us. And we all stood like deers caught in the headlight when they were coming up to us, asking us where property is, how they knew about Laverne. And that shows hard work has paid off. It has paid off. And I just want to personally thank everybody, Sherry, Kathy, and Tom, and Bruce for his support of all of us. Kristen, let me tell you, if you can't keep up with Kristen, I tell you, put you and Sherry, whoa. But it was just amazing, people coming up to us saying, we know about you. We want to talk to you. So just keep on praying, because I tell you what, good things are coming to Laverne, and it's because of the hard work of this economic development team, and we're not stopping, are we, guys? With that being said, everybody have a safe night. Thank you for being here, and I call this meeting adjourned.